2 points which bring about different capillary network. Respiratory sites should possess extensive network of the capillary through which blood can pass at an adequate speed. In this way, complete different gradient in maintain which help which help in rapid diffusion of the oxygen. Spiracles main tracheal trunk communicates with the exterior by paired apertures called spiracles present on lateral side of the body. Lateral side of the body. Number of the spiracles in cockroaches. There are 10 pairs of the spiracles in cockroach. 2 pairs in spiracle are in the thorax, while the rest 8 pairs are in the each of the 8 abdominal segments. Function of spiracles air from the surrounding environment enters into the tracheal system through spiracles and exits after exchange of gas also through spiracles, which enlist respiration of the frog. Respiration in frog takes place through lungs, skin, spiracles, and then next. Biodiversity is the number and variety of the species in a place. It is the variety between all the species of plants and animals, animal and microorganisms, and ecosystem they live and interact. Insects 53.1%, vascular plants 17.6%, animal other than insect 19.9%, 9.4%. Fungi are that protozoaries, other prokaryotes. Deductive reasoning is also reasoning from the general to specific. Example, if we accept that all the birds have wings and that sparrows are birds, then we conclude that the sparrows have wings. Inductive reasoning is a reason from the specific to general. Begin with specific object and let to form a general principle. If we know that the sparrows have wings and are birds, and we know that eagle, parrot, crow are a bird, then we knew that all the birds having integrated disease management. Integrated disease is an effective control of a particular disaster disease that can be achieved by using a relevant appropriate method of the disease control. This is also require awareness of the community about the severity of the problem, its causes and its remedies. Gene therapy is performed to repair the defective genes defective genes and their in gene therapy. A normal gene is isolated from donor and inserted into the host cells through bone marrow cells. Chemotherapy and therapy is a drug treatment. It is performed to treat cancer. Chemotherapy and the chemical administered to the patient at regular intervals. Theory when a series of hypotheses is supported by the result of many tests, then it is called a theory. Law when a theory survives after testing further by many scientists and continue to be supported by experimental evidence, then it becomes a scientific law. Scientific law. Endomycorrhizae, mycorrhizae in which fungal ivy penetrate the outer cell, plant root forming coils, swelling and minute branches also extend out into the surrounding soil is known as endomycorrhizae. Genus Humus form endomycorrhiza. Mycorrhizae in which fungal ivy surround and extend between cells but do not penetrate cell walls of the roots and also extend out into the surrounding soil is known as ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhizae are mainly basic mycota include Amanita spp, Blightus spp. Spores are produced inside the reproductive structure called sporangia, which are cut off from the ivy to complete ivy by complete septa. Spores may be produced by asexual fertilized are haploid, non-motile, and are are produced in very large number. They disperse wind to great distance and cause wide distribution. Cause wide distribution or mycorrhizae in which fungal mycorrhizae in which the fungal hive penetrates the outer cells of the plant root, forming coils, swelling, and minute branches also extend out into the surrounding soil is known as ectomycorrhizae. Endomycorrhizae, the genus Geomus from mycorrhizae in which fungal hive surround extend between the cells but do not penetrate the cell wall of the root, also extend out into the surrounding cell known as ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhizae are mainly basic. The mycota include ammonitas, pipettes, spp. Spores are produced inside reproductive structure called parenchyma, which are cut off from the hyphae by complete septa. Spores may be produced by sexual asexual process are applied non-motile and are produced in very large number. They dispersed by wind to great distance and cause wide distribution of many kind of the fungi. Conidia are cut off at the end of the modified hyphae called conidiophore and not inside the pharyngeal, usually in chain or cluster. These are non-motile sexual spores may be produced in large number. They can survive for weeks and rapid colonization of new food. Budding is an asymmetric division in which tiny outgrowth is reproduced by budding. Pansexuality is a special kind of genetic recombination in imperfect fungi, which portion of the chromosome of two nuclei lying in the same hyphae are exchanged. Rusts are called so because of the rusty orange yellow colored disease spots on their host surface, mostly stem leaves, later revealing brick rust red spores of the fungus. Example, Pucinius species are most common rust fungi. Smuts are called so because of their black dusty spores masses that resemble soot or smut. These spore masses replace the grain kernels such as those of wheat, corn, etc. Astilago species are most common. Smut fungus is a heterotrophic eukaryotic multicellular organism having adaptive mode and nutrition. Penicillium lipids are store double amount of the energy than carbohydrates. Lipids are used to store energy because these have higher proportion of the carbon, hydrogen, and a very low proportion of the oxygen. So lipids store double amount of the energy as compared to the same amount of the and carbohydrate. Inhibitor after enzyme function mentioned, an inhibitor is a chemical substance which can react with the enzyme but is not transformed into the product and thus blocks the active site temporarily, permanently. Poison, antibiotic, anti-metabolism drugs, binding site as enzyme in the recognized binding of the proper substrate to produce enzyme substrate complex. Catalytic site activated catalytic site catalyzes transformation of the substrate into products. Effect of the pH on enzyme. A slight change in pH can change the ionization of the amino acid at the active site and may affect the ionization of the substrate. As a result, enzyme activity is either retarded or blocked. Complete extreme change in pH causes the bond in the enzyme to break, resulting in the enzyme denaturation or 6 plant disease caused by fungi, powdery mildew, potato wilt, ergot of dry cotton, root rot, नमस्कार, ध्यान रखना। Practicing oblivion when they are highly open, complex in India, they are made up of one or more that they can cause use in their genetics for one of their characteristics of population in the group of women, number of riders in a field of population of different clans and live in them, have form a community of fresh community or name for it as geological type that fertile phylogenesis Synozoic hydroponiculture technique is used to test whether a certain nutrient is essential for the plants or not. In this technique, plants are grown in aerated water to which nutrient mineral salts have been added. Astronomy used it for growing vegetables by remove or degraded environmental pollutant material. Toxic material by living organisms is by remedies, for example, algae reduce pollution, heavy metal by absorption. By absorption or indigenous species which are extinct, which are near to be extinct are the indigenous. They are not protected, they will soon become extinct. Microbiology is the branch of biology which is the study of the microorganisms including bacteria, viruses, protozoa, microscopic algae, fungi. Biotechnology branch of biology which is the study of the use of living organism system processing and manufacturing service industries. Coenzyme without its coenzyme prosthetic produces coenzyme called factor non-protein part of this enzyme which are essential for the proper functioning of the enzyme. They usually act as a bridge between enzyme and the substrate. Coenzyme non-protein part of which is loosely attached to the protein part of the enzyme. Coenzyme are closely related to vitamin derivatives. They will remain and reflux enzyme are biochemical catalysts which are globular protein in natural enzyme lower the activation energy of the reaction. They are very specific in the reaction increases. Enzyme increases the rate of reaction without them being used up or in certain cases enzymes act in a series of chemical reactions in a particular order to complete a metabolic pathway such as respiration. But the successive enzyme containing these reactions are normally present in a precise order of the reactions such that substrate molecule can be literally handed on from one enzyme to another, forming an enzyme to enzyme chain. In this way, the products from one step in pathway are transferred to the enzyme, catalyzing the next step. Binding site helps the enzyme in the recognition and binding of a proper substrate to produce an enzyme substrate. Complex catalytic activated catalytic catalytic transformation of the substrate into product as or effect of substrate concentration enzyme action at low concentration of substrate. The rate of reaction is directly proportional to the amount of substrate available. If the enzyme concentration is kept constant and amount of substrate is increased a point. Effect of substrate concentration at low concentration of subtraction is directly proportional to the amount of substrate available in the constant amount of the substrate is increased. A point will come when further increase in the amount of the substrate does not increase the rate of reaction anymore. This is because the substrate molecule occupy all the active sites of the enzyme. Active site of the enzyme at high concentration of the substrate thus further increase in the substrate concentration does not increase the reaction rate. फिर तक हो गए हैं. Next thing. Activity is a group of natural population which can live freely among themselves and produce fertile or suffering better in work calculated farmers just as groups in nature. Human beings, males, cat, etc. Virology is the branch of biology. It is the study of these viruses. Name the organism using two Latin words, the first denoting genus and the second descriptive name. Two together constitute the name of species. Rule of two by nomenclature. Name of species are derived from Latin as Greek words. Scientists' names are usually printed in italic and handwritten in the underline. The first generic name always begin with capital letter. Second specific name is written in small letter. Man, Homo sapiens, onion, elm, pepper, viruses are obligate interparasites mean that they can reproduce only in animals. Plant cells or microorganisms by replication cannot be grown on artificial media. On artificial media, lytic phase undergoes lytic cycle in which phase viral nucleic acid immediately after entering the host cell takes the control of the host by synthetic machinery and induces the host cell to synthesize viral DNA protein. As new phages are formed, bacterial cell burst, or it burst, 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 cell burst. Cell burst it and realizes newly formed phages are released into infect the bacteria. Another lytic cycle, lysogenic phase undergoes lysogenic cycle in which phase viral DNA is taking over the control of the machinery become incorporated into the bacterial chromosome phase. In this state is called phase or each time the bacterial chromosome replicates the prophase also replicates science. All the daughter bacterial cells infected with the prophase capsid head or nucleic acid or nuclear sheath, tail fiber, base plate, or write a note on AIDS is the acronym for acquired immune deficiency syndrome. It is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus HIV symptoms. The symptoms of AIDS include rare vascular cancer, sudden weight loss, swollen lymph nodes, general loss of immune function. Prevention: avoid direct contact HIV. Prevent venous drugs with common syringes. Use sterile needles, syringes, and utensils. And utensils यहाँ तक हो गया. Two distinct characteristics of kingdom protista हमारे पास protista do not develop from a blastula or an embryo. Protista are called phyletic group of organisms as they do not share a single common ancestor. Flagellates obtain food. Flagellates may be free living symbionts or parasites. Flagellates obtain their food either by ingesting living or dead organism by absorbing nutrients from the dead or decomposing organic matter or Pelomyxoplastis giant amoeba. Pelomyxoplastis may be most primitive of all eukaryote life form. This species has multiple membrane bound nuclei, but none of the other organisms found all eukaryotes. This giant amoeba obtain energy from the methanogenetic bacteria which live inside the giant amoeba inhabit mud at the bottom of the freshwater pond which they live where they can contribute degradation of organic molecules. Zooflagellates are mostly unicellular. Some are colonial organisms with spherical elongated bodies. Zooflagellates possess from one to many flagella located at the interior and that enable them to move micronuclei. Micronuclei are diploid. Micronuclei are small and one of the more in number. Micronuclei are macronuclei are polyploid. Macronuclei are larger and one in number. Macronuclei are involved in controlling cell metabolism and growth और उसके बाद हमारे पास है and growth limestone deposits of limestone deposits are thought to that composed of remains foraminifera at the bottom of the ocean millions of years ago. For formation of limestone deposits that foraminifera settle down on the bottom of the ocean where their tests form ugly mud that is greatly transformed into the chalk. Foraminifera of the past have created vast limestone deposits. Amphibian of plants, bryophytes are Bryophytes, amphibian of plants thrive for the time people of the plant world because they cannot live away from the water. They need water for the reproduction. And 3 to 4 are special branching. Special branching on gametophyte bearing male sex organ and 3D produces sperm by mitosis and archegonia force are special branches on gametophyte bearing female sex organ archegonia produces eggs by mitosis. The living genre of the Psilotum semicipitalis or ethnic genre of Psilocoxonia Psilophyton or Neophyto over Tamata constantly branch aerial portion of the stem short unequal branching some branches remained short that grew expand at different paces as an unequal development of various branches is called overtopping homospore is the condition in which plants produce same kind of the spores. Example of the homosporous plants in Lycopodium or heterospore is the condition in which plants produce different kind of the spores. Example of heterosporous plant is Laginella or Y plants belonging to group Sapinopsera. Belonging to group Sapinoptera or arthrophytes. Arthrophytes or plant belonging to group Sapinoptera are arthrophytes because the whole plant body is composed of large number of the joints. Main stem is not smooth. It has large number of the reeds. From each node has whorl of the branches. Equisetum or equisetum तक आ गई. Further can be defined. Further can be defined the process in which energy for inorganic oxidize the compound of the carbon, CO2, hydrogen, mainly water, and reduce to energy rich carbohydrate, sugar, glucose using light energy that is absorbed, converted into the chemical energy via chlorophyll and some other photosynthesis to pigment. Summarize the equation of the photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis in green plants can be summarized 6 COP2 or plus 12 H2O chlorophyll light C6H12O 6 plus 6 OP2 plus 6 H2O water as a source of oxygen in photosynthesis. 1930s when Neil hypothesis that plant supply water as a source of hydrogen releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Neil hypothesis was later confirmed by scientists during 1940s in biological research when the first use of isotopic pressure O18 was made. Experimental green plant in one group were supplied with the water containing O18 carbon dioxide containing common oxygen. Plant in second group were supplied with water containing common oxygen but carbon dioxide containing O18. It was found that plants of the first group produced O18 plants but plant of second group did not. Water is thus one of the raw material in photosynthesis. Bacteria chlorophyll are kind of the chlorophyll found in photosynthetic bacteria. Chlorophyll A different with chlorophyll B or chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B differ from each other in only one of these functional group of the body to porphyrin. The methyl group -CH3 in chlorophyll A is replaced by the terminal carbonyl group -CHO in chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A is a blue-green while chlorophyll B is a yellow-green. Carotenoid yellow, red, orange accessory pigment which absorb mostly blue-violet rays. They broaden the spectrum of the light that provide energy for photosynthesis or antenna complex as many complex has many molecules. Chlorophyll B has carotenoid, most of them channeling energy to reaction and center or reaction center has one of the four molecules. Chlorophyll A along with a primary electron acceptor and accelerated electron carrier electron transport system. Take a chair. Breath is the air is central to the lungs while removing CO2 from the body by muscular movement. It is a physical process occurred by diffusion. It is extracellular process. Cellular respiration. Respiration is a cellular process in which a simple organic compound like glucose are oxidized in order to liberate chemical energy in the form of the ATP. It is a biochemical process. It occurs by oxidation. It is an intracellular process. Disadvantage of gas exchange in water environment. More dense breathing or ventilation of the water is far more difficult than the ventilation of the air because water is 8,000 times more dense than air. More viscous in terms of the viscosity. Water is 50 times more dense, which makes it more difficult for exchange of gases as compared to the air. Viscoribulose, bisphosphate, carboxylase, oxygenase is an enzyme which is the most abundant protein in chloride, probably the most abundant protein in the world. Rubisco acts as a carboxylase as well as oxygenase, and Rubisco acts as a carboxylate. It adds CO2 RUBP to RUBP, which is an acceptor molecule. On the other hand, when Rubisco is oxygenase, it adds oxygen to RUBP. RUBP respiratory surfaces in animal are the sites where gaseous exchange takes place. Respiratory system surfaces in most animals shows the following picture. Large surface area should be extremely large as it is seen in the lungs, land vertebrates and insects. In case of fishes, wet surfaces respiratory surface must be wet in order to carry out diffusion of gases. Thin epithelium distance across which diffusion has to take place should be little. In most animals, the epithelium which separates air and blood is only 2 cells thick, so the distance for diffusion is very short. Ventilation maintains a steep diffusion gradient. There is a big difference concentration and a big difference concentration and ventilation maintain a steep diffusion gradient. There is a big difference concentration of the gases at 2 points. At gas at 2 points, which bring about diffusion capillary network. Respiratory sites should possess extensive network of capillary through which blood can pass at an adequate speed or adequate speed. In this way a complete diffusion gradient maintained which help in rapid diffusion of the oxygen. Spherical main tracheal trunk communicates with the exterior bipeds apertures called spherical present on lateral side of the body. Number of the spherical in cockroach. There are 10 pairs of the spherical in cockroach. Or 2 pairs of the spherical are in thorax, while rest 8 pairs are in each of the 8 abdominal segmented. Function of the spherical air from the surrounding environment enter into the tracheal system through spherical exits after exchange of gas. Also respiration in frog takes place through lungs, skin, buccal chambers. These organs are richly supplied with blood vessels. Cutaneous respiration. The gas is exchanged through skin is called cutaneous respiration. Buccal respiration. Gas is exchanged through the buccal chamber is called buccal respiration. Pulmonary respiration. Gas is exchanged Cutaneous aspiration, gaseous action through skin is called cutaneous aspiration. Buccal aspiration, gaseous action through the buccal chambers. Chamber is called buccal respiration. Pulmonary aspiration, gaseous action through the lungs. Lungs or is known as pulmonary respiration. Biodiversity is the number of biodiversity in a place. It is the variety and within between other species of plants, animals, and like organisms and ecosystem which live interact inside 53.1% vascular plants, 17.6% animal other than insects are 19.9.4% fungi, giant protozoaries, other prokaryotes. Deductive reasoning. Deductive is a reason from general to specific. Specific example is the accept that all birds have wings and that sparrows are birds, and we conclude that sparrows have wings. Inductive reasoning include inductive reasoning is reasoning from the specific to the general begin with the specific observation and led to the formation of general principle. If we accept that if we know that sparrows have wings and are birds, and we know that eagles, parrots, crows are birds, then we deduce that all the birds have wings or integrated disease management is an effective control of a particular receptor disease that can be achieved by using all relevant appropriate method of the disease control. This also requires awareness of the community about the severity of the problem, of its causes and its remedies. Gene therapy. Gene therapy is performed to repair defective gene. In gene therapy, a normal gene is isolated from a donor and is inserted into the host cells through bone marrow cells. Chemotherapy drug treatment performed to treat cancer. Chemotherapy anti-cancer drugs are administered to the patient at regular intervals. Theory. When a series of hypotheses supported by the result of many tests, then it is called theory. When a theory survives after testing further by many scientists, continue to be supported by experimental evidence, then it will become a scientific law. Heat capacity of the water. Water has great ability of absorbing heat with minimum changes in its own temperature. Thus, the specific heat capacity of the water is the number of the cavities required to raise the temperature 1 gram of water by 1 centigrade from 15 to 16 centigrade 1.0. This is because much of the energy is used to break fusion. Importance of heat capacity of the water. Water works as a temperature stabilizer for organism and the environment and hence protects the living of the material against sudden thermal changes. In microalgae, in which fungal hyphae penetrate the outer cell wall of the plant root, forming coils, swelling or in microalgae, in which fungal hyphae penetrate the outer and in microalgae, in which fungal hyphae penetrate the outer cell of the plant root, forming coils, swelling, and minute branches also extend out into the surrounding soil. Known endomycorrhizae is the genus Geomus form endomycorrhiza. Ectomycorrhizae in which fungal hyphae surround extend between cells do not penetrate the cell wall of the roots and also extend out into the surrounding soil. Known as ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhizae are mainly basic mycota, including myelita, SPP, bladder, SPP. Spores are produced inside the reproductive structure called sporangia, which are cut off from the hyphae by complete septa. Spores may be produced by sexual and asexual processes, are applied non-motile, and are produced in very large numbers. They dispersed by wind to great distance and cause wide distribution of the many kinds of the fungi. Conidia are cut off at the end of the body by hyphae called conidia and not inside the sporangia, usually in chain or cluster. These are non-motile sexual spores and may be produced in large numbers. They can survive for weeks and cause rapid colonization of the new food. Budding is an asymmetric division in which tiny outgrowth or bud is produced, which may separate or grow by diverting parasexuality. Parasexuality is a special kind of the genetic recombination in imperfect fungi in which portion of the chromosome of two nuclei lying in the same hyperexane rests are cast so because of the numerous rusty orange, yellow, orange, yellow, numerous rust are colored because of the numerous rusty orange yellow colored disease spots on their host surface, mostly stem leaves, later revealing brick rust red spores of the fungus Fusinus, which is our most common rust fungi. Smut are called so because of their black dusty spore masses that resemble soot or smut. These spore masses replace the green kernels such as those of wheat, corn, etc. Stilago species are most common oxygen having absorptive mode of the nutrition penicillium alternation of the generation and alternate occurrence of the multicellular gametophyte diploid glucorophyte with each other is known. Alternation of the generation significant of alternation of the generation during the formation of the spores generation reshuffling of the genes occur as a consequence. A great variety of the spores with different genetic makeup are produced from the spores gametophyte produce gametophyte with different genetic combination. In this natural process, the spore thus provide a large amount of genetic variability. Natural select the best combination in long run. This will allow lipids are used to store the double amount to store energy. Because of this, they have a higher proportion of CH bond and a very low proportion of the oxygen. So the lipids store double amount of the energy as compared to the same amount of the any carbohydrate. Inhibitor affect the enzyme function and inhibitor is a chemical substance can interact with the enzyme but is not transformed into the product and thus blocks the active site temporarily for poison, antibiotic, anticatabolic and drugs. Binding site as the enzyme in the recovery and binding of the proper substrate to produce enzyme substrate complex catalytic site activated catalytic site that allows transformation of the substrate into products. Enzyme are affected by extreme change in pH. A slight change in pH can change the ionization of the amino acid at the active site that may be affect the ionization of the substrate. As a result, enzyme activity is either retarded or blocked completely. Extreme change in pH causes the bond in the enzyme to break, resulting in the enzyme denaturation or 6 plant diseases caused by fungi, powdery mildews, ergot of fry, red rot of the sugarcane, potato wilt, cotton root rot, apple scab, or nuclear mitosis. Fungi characteristic of the type of the mitosis called nuclear mitosis in which nuclear envelope does not break. Instead, the mitotic spindle forms within the nucleus and the nuclear membrane consists between two clusters of daughter chromosomes. Lipids store double amount of the energy than carbohydrate. Lipids are used to store energy because these have higher proportion of the hydrogen and are very low proportion of the oxygen. So lipids store double amount of the energy as compared to the same amount of the any carbohydrates. And urea is a chemical substance which can react with the enzyme but is not transformed into products and thus blocks the active site temporarily from energy. Poisons or antibiotics, antimetabolites, some drugs. Binding site helps the enzyme in the recognition and binding of a proper substrate to produce enzyme substrate complex. Catalytic site activated catalytic site catalyzes the transformation of the substrate into products. Enzyme effect of the pH on enzyme. A slight change in pH can change the ionization of amino acid as the active site and may be affect the ionization of the substrate. As a result of enzyme activity is either retarded or blocked completely. Extreme changes in pH causes the bond in the enzyme to break, resulting in the enzyme denaturation. Powdery mildews, ergot of rye or red rot rot of the sugar cane, potato, wilt, cotton root rot, apple scab, nuclear mitosis in fungi. Fungi show the characteristic type of the mitosis called nuclear mitosis, in which nuclear envelope does not break. Instead, the mitotic spindle form within the nucleus and the nuclear membrane constricts between the two clusters of the daughter chromosomes. Diagnostic characteristic of mammals. Most mammals have a body covering of hairs. Mammals are warm-blooded animals. Mammals are feed their young one on milk produced by mammary glands of mothers. Most mammals give birth to young viviparous. Viviparous. Exactly. Endomycorrhizae, mycorrhizae in which fungus hyphae penetrates the outer cells of the plant root, forming coils, swelling, and minute branches also extend out into the surrounding soil is known as endomycorrhizae. Genus Gemus form endomycorrhiza, ectomycorrhizae, mycorrhizae in which fungal hyphae strong extend between the cells but do not penetrate the cell wall of the roots, also extend out into the surrounding soil is known as ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhizae are mainly basic mycota including amino spp, bladder spp. Spores are produced inside the reproductive structure called sporangia, which are cut off from the hyphae by complete septa. Spores may be produced by sexual asexual processes, are applied non-motile and are produced in very large number. They disperse to great distance and cause wide distribution of many kind of the fungi. Conidia are cut off at the end of the modified hyphae called conidiophore and not inside the spores, usually in chain in clusters. These are non-motile asexual spores may be produced in large number. They can survive for weeks and cause rapid colonization of the new food. Budding is an asymmetric deviation in which tiny outgrowth or bud is produced but may separate or grow by simple cell division. Unicellular is reproduced by budding. Parsexuality is a special kind of genetic recombination of imperfect fungi in which portion of the chromosome of the two nuclei lying in the same hypha are exchanged. Rusts are called so because of numerous rusty orange yellow colored disease spot on their host surface. Mostly certain leaves later break rust red spores of the fungus. Example Puccinia species are most common rust fungi. Smuts are called so because of their black dusty spore masses that resemble soot or smut. These spore masses replace the grain kernels such as those of wheat, corn, etc. Astrolago species are most common smut fungi. The fungus is hydrotrophic eukaryotic multicellular organism having absorptive mode of the nutrition penicillium. Alternate of occurrence of the multicellular applied gametophyte diploid sporophyte with each other is known as alternation of the genetic and alternation of generation during the formation of the spores from spore mother cells by mitotic division in sporophyte. Generally separating of the gene occurring as a consequence. A great variety of spores with different genetic makeup are produced. These spores in turn produce gametophyte with different genetic combination. In this natural process, sporophyte thus provide a large amount of genetic variability. Nature selects the best combination in the long run. In this will allow the population to become increasingly better adapted to the environment. Microphiles are small single-veined leaves. Microphiles are present like its megaphylls are large leaves having divide veinlets with an expanded leaf blade or lamina. Megaphylls are present in ferns and seed plants. Biodiversity is the number and variety of the species in place. It is the variety between all species of plants, animals, microorganisms, and the ecosystem within which they live. All the species of plants and animals, microorganisms, and the ecosystem within which they live and interact. Insects 53.1%, vascular plants 17.6%, animal other than the insects 19.9%, 9.4%, fungi, algae, protozoa. Various other prokaryotes. Deductive reasoning. Deductive is a reasoning from the general to specific. Example: if we accept that all birds have wings and the sparrows are birds, then we conclude that sparrows have wings. Inductive reasoning is a reasoning from the specific to general. To general, if it begins with specific observation and led to the formation of general principle. If we know that sparrows have wings and are birds, and we know that eagle, parrot, crow are birds, then we induce that all the birds having integrated disease management is an effective control of particular disaster disease that can be achieved by using all relevant appropriate method of the disease control. This also requires awareness of the community about the severity of the problem of its causes and its remedies. Gene therapy is performed to repair defective genes. In gene therapy, a normal gene is isolated from a donor and is inserted into the host cells through bone marrow cells. और उसके बाद हमारे पास आएगा कीमोथेरेपी इज अ ड्रग ट्रीटमेंट. इट इज परफॉर्म टू ट्रीट कैंसर. इन कीमोथेरेपी एंटी कैंसर केमिकल administered to the patient at regular intervals. Theory: when a series of hypotheses is supported by the result of many tests, then it is called theory. Or law: when a theory survives after testing further by many scientists, continues to be supported by experimental evidence, then it is become scientific law. Or heat capacity of the water. Water has a great ability of absorbing heat with minimum change in its own temperature. The specific heat capacity of the water is the number of the calories required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water 1 centigrade from 15 centigrade to 16 centigrade 120. This is because much of the energy is used to break hydrogen bonds. Importance of heat capacity of the water. Water works at temperature of tablet for organism is environment and hence protect living material against sudden thermal changes. Give general formula for an amino acid. Amino acid are general formula or maybe hydrogen atom as glycine or HCH3 alanine or any other groups. Such amino acids mainly differ due to the type of the nature. R group amino group H2N CRH carboxyl group carboxyl group और अल्फा कार्बन यहाँ तक हो गया. आगे 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 breathing is a mechanical process in which air is sent to the lungs while removing the CO2 from the body by muscular movement. It is a physical process. It occurs by different. It is cellular process. Cellular respiration. Cellular process in simple organic compound like glucose or oxidized order to liberate chemical energy in the form of ATP. It is a biochemical process. It occurs by oxidation. It is an intracellular process. Disadvantage of gas change in water environment. More dense. Breathing or ventilation of the water is far more difficult than the ventilation of the air because water is 8,000 times more dense than air, more viscous in terms of viscosity. Water is 50 times more viscous, which makes it more difficult for exchange of gases as compared to the air. Ribulose biphosphate carboxyl oxygenase is an enzyme which is the most abundant protein in chloroplast and probably the most abundant protein in the world. Ribulose acts as a carboxyl as well as oxygenase. When ribulose acts as a carboxyl, it adds CO2 RUBP, which is an acceptor molecule. On the other hand, when ribulose is oxygenase, it adds oxygen to RUBP. Properties of respiratory surface in animals. The in animals are the sites of the where gases exchange takes place. The respiratory surface in most animals show following feature. Large surface area should be extremely large as seen in the seen in the lungs in the land vertebrate and the gills in the case of the fishes. Wet surface, the respiratory surface must be wet in order to carry out diffusion of the gases. Or thin epithelium, the distance across this which diffusion has to take place should be little. In most is the epithelium which separates the air and blood is only 2 cell bricks thick, so the distance for diffusion is very short. Ventilation maintain a steep diffusion and gradient. There is a big difference concentration of the gases at the 2 points which bring about diffusion. Capillary network is the respiration should be possess extensive network capillaries through which blood can pass at an adequate speed. In this way the adequate speed and in this way adequate speed gradient in adequate speed. Speed in this way, complete diffusion gradient is maintained, which help in rapid diffusion or rapid diffusion of oxygen और उसके बाद हमारे पास spiracles main tracheal trunk of the communicates with exterior by paired apertures apertures called spiracles present on lateral side of the body. The main tracheal trunk communication with trunk communicates with the exterior and exterior by paired and aperture called spiracle present on lateral side of the body. Number of spiracles in cockroach. There are 10 pair of the spiracles in cockroach. There are 10 pairs of spiracles in cockroach. 2 pairs of the spiracles are in the thorax and spiracle main tracheal trunk communication with exterior by paired apertures called spiracle present on lateral side of this body. Number of spiracles in cockroaches. There are 10 pair of spiracles in cockroaches. There 2 pair of these spiracles are in the thorax, while the rest 8 pair are in the each of the 8 abdominal segmented. Function of spiracle: air from surrounding environment enter into the tracheal system through spiracle and exits after exchange of gas, also through spiracles. Or types of respiration of frog. Respiration in frog takes place through lungs, skin, buccal chambers. These organs are richly supplied with blood vessels. Cutaneous respiration. The gases exchanged through skin is called cutaneous respiration. Buccal respiration. Gases exchanged through buccal chamber is called buccal respiration. Pulmonary respiration. The gases exchanged through the lungs is known as pulmonary respiration. Vocal cords in the glottis. The mucous membrane is stretched across into two thin edged fibrous bands called vocal cords. Function of vocal cords. Vocal cords help in voice production when vibrated by the air. 7 हो गया आज तक भी. Or photosynthesis can be defined as a process in which energy for inorganic in which photosynthesis can be described. The process in which energy for inorganic oxidized compound of carbon, CO2 and hydrogen, mainly water, are reduced energy rich carbohydrates, sugar, glucose using light energy that is absorbed and converted into the chemical energy is glucose by chlorophyll and some other photosynthesis pigments. Summarize equation of the photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis green plants can be summarized as 6CO2 plus 12H2O, chlorophyll light C6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus 6H2O. It was proved that the source of O2 in photosynthesis in water. In 1930s, when Neil hypothesized that plants supply water as a source of hydrogen, releasing oxygen as a byproduct, Neil's hypothesis was later confirmed by scientists during 1940s in biological research when first used isotopic tracer O18 was made. Experimental green plants in one group were supplied with water containing O18, carbon dioxide containing common oxygen. Plants in second group were supplied with water containing common oxygen but common oxygen but carbon dioxide containing O18. It was found that plants of first group produce O18 but plants of second group did not. Water is thus one of the raw material in photosynthesis. Bacteria chlorophyll are kind of the chlorophyll found in the photosynthesis. Bacteria chlorophyll differs from chlorophyll B or between chlorophyll and chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B differ from each other in only one of the functional group of the bonded to the power 5 into the methyl group. Minus CH3 in chlorophyll A is replaced by terminal carbonyl group minus CHO in chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A is blue green while chlorophyll B is yellow green. Carotenoids are yellow, red, orange accessory pigment which have a mostly blue violet range. Then broaden broaden spectrum of light that provides energy for photosynthesis. Antenna complex has many molecules: chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoid. Most of them channeling energy to reaction center. Reaction center has one or more molecule chlorophyll along with a primary electron acceptor and associated electron carrier electron transport system. This scheme path of electron through the photosystem 2 and 1 during non-cyclic photosynthesis is known as this scheme from its shape. Amphibian plant of the world and the brachypods are called amphibian plant of the world. Amphibian plant of the world because they cannot live away from the water, they need water for reproduction. Antheridia for the special branches or gametes for merchant bearing male sex organ. Antheridia produce sperm by mitosis and Archegonia for special branches or gametes for merchant bearing female sex organ. Archegonia produces egg by mitosis. Living genera of Coelophyta, Coelotum semicipitalis, extinct genera of Coelophyta, Cooksonia, Coelophyton, Ornitophyton. Over time, the branch aerial portion of the stem short, unequal branching. Some branches remain short. Others grew, expand at different paces. Such an unequal development of various branches is called over time homospore is a condition in which plant produces same kind of these spores. Example of homosporous plant like a podium. Heterospore is a condition in which plant produce different kind of spores. Example of heterosporous plant is Laginella. Plant belonging to groups of Phenopsera arthrophytes. Plant belonging to groups of Phenopsera arthrophytes because the whole plant body is composed of large number of the joints. Main stem is not smooth. It has a large number of the radius. Frost is not has oral branches. Ecosystem fronds are compound leaves of fans. leaves of plants when the front is immature, young, coiled. This pattern of development is associated with nature. It is an important character of the ferns और उसके बाद हमारे पास 7 हो गया. Cacti kingdom protists of protists do not develop from a blastula or an embryo. Protists are polyphyletic group of the organism. Group of organism are group of organism. Protists do not develop from a blastula or an embryo. Protists are polyphyletic group of organism and they do not share a single common ancestor. Flagellates may be free living symbionts or parasites. Flagellates obtain their food either by ingesting living or dead organism or by observing nutrients from dead or decomposing organic matter. Phyllomaxa plus giant amoeba. Phyllomaxa plus may be most primitive of all eukaryote like form. This species has multiple membrane bound nuclei but none of the other organelles found in all other eukaryotes. This giant amoeba obtain energy from methanogenic bacteria which live inside them. Giant amoeba inhabit mud at the bottom of the freshwater ponds where they contribute to the degradation of organic molecules. Zoophytes are mostly unicellular. Some of the colonial organisms with very elongated bodies or zooflagellate possess from one to many flagella located at the anterior end. और उसके बाद हमारे पास Giant amoeba Phyllomaxa may be most primitive all eukaryote-like form. This species has multiple membrane-bound nuclei, but none of the other organelles found in all other eukaryotes. Giant amoeba obtain energy from methanoid bacteria which live inside them. Giant amoeba inhabit mud at the bottom of freshwater ponds where they contribute to the degradation of organic molecules. और zoophytes are mostly unicellular. Some are colonial organisms with elongated bodies. Zoophytes possess from one to many flagella located at the anterior end that enable them to move. Micronuclei are diploid. Micronuclei are small, one or more in number. Micronuclei are involved in sexual processes. Macronuclei are polyploid. Macronuclei are larger and one in number. Macronuclei are involved in controlling of cell metabolism and growth. Deposits limestone deposits are thought to be composed of the remains of foraminiferans at the bottom of the ocean. Millions of years ago, foraminiferans or limestone deposits that foraminiferans settled down on the bottom of the ocean where their tests form agri. Mud is gradually transformed into the chalk. Foraminiferans of the past have created vast limestone deposits. Foraminiferans are marine protozoan which produce shell or tests. Foraminifera are made up of calcium. Shells for tests contain pores through which cytoplasmic projection can be extended. These cytoplasmic projections form sticky interconnected net that entangles pre-important dead foraminiferans sink to the bottom of the ocean where their shells form a grey mud that is gradually transformed into the chalk. Foraminiferans of the past have created vast limestone deposits. 7. Species the group of natural population which can interfere among themselves and produce fertile of September or isolated from all such groups in nature. Human being, males, cat, etc. Virology is a branch of biology deal with the study of the virus by nomenclature, assignment, name, organism using two Latin words. First denoting genus and the second descriptive name. The two together constitute the name of species. Name of species are derived from Latin or Greek words. Scientific names are usually printed in italics when handwritten. They are underlined. First generic name always begin with capital letter. Second sympathetic name is written in small letter. Man, Homo sapiens, onion, allium, sapa. Viruses are obligate intercellular parasite. It means that they can reproduce only in animal plants, cellular microbial application, and cannot be grown or on artificial media or lytic phase and lytic cycle in which phase viral nucleic acid immediately after entering the host cell takes the host cell takes the control of the host by synthetic machinery and induces the host cell to synthesize viral DNA and protein as new bacteriophages are formed. Bacterial cell bursts. It undergoes lysis. Newly formed phages are released into infect the bacteria. Another lytic cycle begins. Lysogenic phase. Lysogenic phase are undergo lysogenic cycle in which phase viral DNA instead taking over the control of host may become incorporated into the bacterial chromosome phase. In this state is called prophase time. The bacterial chromosomes replicate the prophase. Bacterial chromosome replicate the each time the bacterial chromosome replicates prophase also replicates all the daughter bacterial cells infected with the prophase capsid layer nucleic acid collar sheath tail fiber base plate. AIDS is acronym for acquired immune deficiency syndrome. It is caused by the immunodeficiency virus HIV symptoms. AIDS, rare vascular cancer, sudden weight loss, swollen lymph nodes, and general loss of the immune function. Avoid direct contact with HIV. Prevent intravenous drugs with common syringe. Use sterile needle syringe utensils. और symptom of hepatitis is characterized by jaundice, abdominal pain, liver enlargement, fatigue, sometimes fever. Precaution of hepatitis can be controlled by adopting hygienic measures with routine kerosene and screening of blood organ or tissue of the donor tissue of the donor. यहाँ तक enzyme without it prosthetic release cofactor non-protein part of this enzyme which are essential for the proper functioning of the enzyme. They usually act as a bridge between enzyme and the substrate. Coenzyme non-protein part which is loosely attached to the protein part of the enzyme. Coenzyme closely related to the vitamin or derivative of vitamin and replace characteristics of enzyme biochemical catalyst which are globular protein enzyme lower the activation energy of the reaction. Enzyme are very specific in the reaction. Enzyme increase the rate of reaction without themselves being used up. Enzyme to enzyme chain. In certain cases, enzyme act in a series of the chemical reactions in a particular order to complete a metabolic pathway. The respiration percentage enzyme containing these reactions are normally present together in precise order of reactions such that the substrate molecule can be literally handed on from one enzyme to another, forming an enzyme to enzyme chain. In this way, the products from one step in pathway are transferred into the enzyme, catalyzing the next step. Or binding sites help the enzyme recognition and binding of the proper substrate to produce an enzyme substrate complex. और उसके बाद हमारे पास है catalytic site activated catalytic site catalyzes the transformation of the substrate into product as the effect of the substrate concentration at low concentration of the substrate rate of reaction is directly proportional to the amount of substrate available. If the enzyme concentration is kept constant and the amount of substrate is a point will come when further increase the amount of the substrate does not increase the rate of the reaction anymore. This is because the substrate molecule occupy all the active sites of the enzyme at high concentration of substrate. Thus further increase in the substrate concentration does not increase the reaction rate. Optimum pH. Every enzyme works more efficiently over a narrow range of pH known as optimum pH. The optimum pH of the pepsin is 2.00. सामान हो गए इसके practicing only they are highly organized complex entities. They are made up of one or more cells. They can cause you in their genetic background. They can population is a group of living organisms and localized at the same time. The number of rats in a field of rice, population of different species, plant and animal living in same habitat form a community, forest community, protected Cenozoic arboriculture technique is used to test whether a certain nutrient is essential for plant or not. In detecting plants are grown inherited variant with nutrient minerals are been added. Astronomy uses it for growing vegetables, remove degradation, environmental pollutant or toxic material by living organism is carbon emission. For example, algae reduce pollution of heavy metals by absorption. Indigenous species which are near to be extinct are called indigenous species. If they are not protected, they will soon become extinct. Microbiology deals with the study of the microorganisms including bacteria, viruses, protozoa, microscopy, algae, fungi. Biotechnology branch biology deals with the study of the use of living systems in manufacturing, service industries or industries and biology branch biology deal with the study of the organism living in fresh water bodies, river lakes, etc. and physical chemical parameters of these water bodies. Marine biology branch biology deal with the study of the life in seas and ocean. This includes the study of marine life and the physical chemical parameters of the chemical characteristics of the sea acting as factor for marine life. और उसके बाद हमारे पास जाएगा they are highly organized, complex entities. They are made up of one or more cells. They can use energy. They are genetic program of the affected population is a group of living organisms using local individuals at the same time. Number of rats in a field of rice. Population, community, population of different species, plants and animals live in same habitat, form a community. A fresh community, protected like place like means like hydroponiculture technique is used to test whether a certain nutrient is essential for the plant or not. In this technique, the plants are grown in healthy water to which nutrient minerals are been added. Astronomy uses it for growing vegetable, remove degraded environmental pollutant toxic material or toxic material by living organism is carbon. For example, algae reduce pollution is heavy metals by absorption. Indigenous species which are near to be extinct are called indigenous species. If they are not protected, they will soon become extinct. Microbiology branch biology deal with the study of the microorganism including bacteria, viruses, protozoa, microscopic algae, fungi. Biotechnology branch biology deal with the study of the use of new organisms system process in manufacturing, service industry, freshwater biology branch biology is the study of the organism living in freshwater bodies, river lakes, etc. and physical chemical parameters of these water bodies. Marine biology branch biology deals with the study of the life and in seas and ocean. This includes a study marine life and physical chemical characteristics of sea acting as factor for marine life. Bioelements, the commonly occurring 16 elements and few others which occur in living organisms are the bioelement. Proportion of the bioelement body: calcium, oxygen 65, carbon 18, oxygen 65, carbon 18 and carbon 18, hydrogen 3% or calcium 2%, phosphorus 1%. Then next. Apoenzyme and coenzyme is without its coenzyme. Apoenzyme without its coenzyme or prosthetic group is called apoenzyme. Apoenzyme and cofactor non-protein part of the some enzyme which are essential for the proper functioning of the enzyme. They usually act as a bridge between enzyme and their substrate. Coenzyme, non-protein part of which is loosely attached to the protein part of the enzyme. Coenzyme closely related to vitamin derivatives of vitamin and plus characteristic of enzyme. Enzyme are biochemical catalysts which are globular protein and enzyme lower activation energy of the reaction. Enzyme are very specific in their action. Enzyme increase the rate of reaction without the enzyme being used up. Enzyme to enzyme, then in certain cases enzyme act in a series of chemical reaction in a particular order to complete a metabolic pathways such as respiration, photosynthesis, the successive enzymes containing these reactions are normally present in together in a precise order of the reaction such that the substrate molecule can be literally added on from one enzyme another, forming an enzyme to enzyme chain. In this way, products from one step to in a pathway are transformed into to the enzyme catalyzing the next step or binding site. The binding site help the enzyme recognize and binding of proper substrate to produce an enzyme substrate complex catalytic site and activated catalytic site catalyzes the transformation of the substrate into product as effect of substrate concentration. At low concentration of the substrate, the rate of reaction is directly proportional to the amount of the substrate available. If enzyme concentration is kept constant, at amount of the substrate is increased. A point will come when further increase in amount of the substrate does not increase the rate of reaction anymore. This is because substrate molecules occupy all the activities of the enzyme at high concentration of the substrate. Thus, further increase in the substrate concentration does not increase the rate of reaction rate. Optimum pH enzyme every immediately upon increase the concentration of the substance concentration of substance. CBG is the group of natural population being males, cat, etc. Virology is a branch biology deal with the study of viruses by nomenclature, assignment of the name of the organism using two Latin words. First, periodic genus, second, descriptive name. The two together constitute the name of CBGs. Name of CBGs are derived from Latin or Latin Greek words. Scientific name are usually printed in italic when handwritten. They are under first generic name always begin with capital letter. Second, the basic name is written in small letter. Man, Homo sapien, onion, alien, sappa. Viruses are obligate intracellular parasite. It means they can reproduce only in animal, plant cells, or microorganisms by replication and cannot be grown on artificial media. Media lytic phase undergo lytic cycle in which phase viral nucleic acid immediately after entering the host cell take place. The control host by synthetic machinery and induces the host cell to synthesize viral DNA protein as new bacteriophages are formed. Bacterial cell bursts. It undergoes lysis. Newly formed phage are released to infect the bacteria and another lytic cycle begins. Lysogenic phase undergoes lysogenic cycle in which phase viral DNA inside taking over the control host machinery become incorporated into the bacterial chromosome phase. In this state is called prophase. Each time in bacterial chromosome replicates, the prophase also replicates and hence all later bacterial cell infected with the prophase capsid at nucleic acid or collar sheath tail fiber base plate. AIDS is the acronym for acquired immune deficiency syndrome. It is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus HIV or symptoms of the AIDS include rare vascular cancer, swollen lymph nodes, sudden weight loss, general loss of the immune function. Prevent avoid direct contact with HIV. Prevent intravenous drugs with common savings. Use sterile needles, syringes or utensils. Symptoms of hepatitis are characterized by jaundice, abdominal pain, liver enlargement, fatigue and sometimes fever. Precaution of the hepatitis can be controlled. Adopted hygienic measures with routine vaccination and screening of blood organ tissues of the donor or HIV immunodeficiency virus. HIV is a virus in which responsible for acquired immune deficiency syndrome. AIDS. It was identified in 1984 by research team from Pasteur Institute in France, National Institute of Health in USA और हमारे पास the protists do not develop from blastula or an embryo. Embryo protists are polyphyletic group of organism and they do not share a single common ancestors. और इसके बाद हमारे पास flagellate may be free living symbionts. Parasite flagellate obtain their food either by ingesting living or dead organism or by absorbing nutrients from dead or decomposing organic matters. Phylomexaplastis designed amoeba. Phylomexaplastis may be most primitive of all eukaryote-like form. This species has multiple membrane-bound nuclei, but none of the other organelles found in all other eukaryotes. Giant amoeba obtain energy from methanogenic bacteria which live inside them. Giant amoeba inhabit mud at the bottom of freshwater ponds where they contribute to the degradation of organic molecules. Zooflagellates are mostly unicellular. Some are colonial organisms with spherical elongated bodies. Zooflagellates possess from one to many flagella located at anterior end that enable them to move. Micronucleus, micronuclei are diploid. Micronuclei are small and one or more number micronuclei are involved in sexual processes. Macronuclei are polyploid. Macronuclei are larger in number. Macronuclei are involved in controlling cell metabolism and growth. Limestone deposits of limestone. The limestone deposits are thought to be composed of the remain foraminiferous at the bottom of the ocean million of the years ago, or foraminiferous limestone deposit that foraminiferous settled down on the bottom of the ocean, where their tests form a grey mud that is gradually transformed into chalk. Foraminiferous of the past or created vast limestone deposits, or foraminiferous are marine protozoans which produce shell or tests of foraminifera are made up of calcium. The shells or tests contain pores through which cytoplasmic projections can be extended. These cytoplasmic projections form a sticky interconnected net that entangle the dead foraminifera sink to the bottom of the ocean, where their shells form a grey mud that is greatly transformed into chalk. Foraminiferous of the past have created vast limestone deposits. Thallus, a body which is not differentiated into true root stems and leaves, and lake xylem phloem is a thallus. Then body of algae is called thallus or laminaria. और उसके बारे में amphibian of plants are typhoid are amphibian of the plants world because they cannot live away from the water. They need water for reproduction. Antheridia are special branches and gametophyte bearing males as organ. Antheridia produces sperm by mitosis, and trigoniophores are special Archegonia branches on the gametophyte of Merchantia bearing female sex organ. Archegonia produce eggs by mitosis. Living gender of the Xylotum Submiscipitaris Cooksonia. Extinct gender of the Xylophyton Horneophyton. Overtopping duck continuously branch. Aerial portion of the stem short unequal branching. Some branches remained short. Other grew expand at different paces at an unequal development of various branches is called overtopping. Homospore is a condition in which a plant produces same kind of spores. The example of homosporous plants is Lycopodium. Heterospory is a condition in which a plant produces different kind of spores. Is called example of heterosporous plants Laginella. Plant belonging to groups of Pinoptera are arthrophyte. Plant belonging to groups of Pinoptera are arthrophyte because all plant body composed of a large number of these joints. Male stem is not smooth. It has large number of these radicular spores. Each node has oral branches. Equisetum plants are compound leaves of ferns. When the fern is image of young coiled with this pattern develops vaccination. It is an important characteristic of the fern integument. Integument has specialized protective covering around megasporangium which vary in number. और उसके बाद हमारे पास आएगा food branches can be defined as a process in which energy for inorganic oxidized compound of carbon, CO2, hydrogen, mainly water, are reduced to energy. Rich carbohydrates, sugar, glucose using light energy that is absorbed, converted into the chemical energy by chlorophyll and some other photosynthetic pigment. Summarize equation of photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis in green plants can be summarized as 6CO2 or 12H2O. Chlorophyll light C6H12O 6 plus 6H2O 6 plus 6 O2 plus 6H2O or proved as a source of oxygen photosynthesis. 1930s 30s when Neil hypothesized that plants separate water as a source of hydrogen, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Neil's hypothesis was later confirmed by scientists during 1914 biological research when first use of isotopes O18 was made. Experimental green plants in one group were supplied with water containing O18 and carbon dioxide. O18 and carbon dioxide containing common oxygen. Plant in second group were supplied with water or and carbon dioxide containing common oxygen. Plant in second group were supplied in water containing common oxygen but carbon dioxide containing O18. It was found that plant of first group produced O18 but plant of second group did not. Water is thus one of the raw materials in photosynthesis. Bacteriochlorophyll. The bacteriochlorophyll are kind of the chlorophylls found in photosynthetic bacteria. Chlorophyll A different with chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B differ from each other in only one of the functional group of the bonded to the 4,5 in the methyl group. CH3 in chlorophyll A is replaced by terminal carbonyl group CHO in chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll is blue-green while chlorophyll B is yellow-green. Carotenoid are yellow, red and orange accessory pigment which absorb mostly blue-violet range. They broaden the spectrum of light and that provides energy for photosynthesis. Antennas complex has many molecule. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoid. Most of them channels energy to reaction center. Reaction center has one of the more molecule chlorophyll A along with the primary electron acceptor associated electron carrier electron transport system that came the path of electron through the photosystem to photosystem 1 during non-cyclic photosphorylation or is known as that shape chemiosis coupling reaction in which synthesis of ATP molecule takes place during movement of H plus across the membrane of thylakoid. In case of photosynthesis into the thylakoid space is called chemiosis. The mechanism of the ATP synthesis in chemiosis is cyclic, non-cyclic in non-cyclic phosphorylation. It is a process that uses membrane during redox reaction for ATP production or chemical process in which air is sent to the lungs while removing CO2 from the body by muscular movement. It is a muscular, it is a physical process. It occurs by removing the mode as branching, ventilation of the breathing is a muscular process in which air is sent to the lungs while removing CO2 from the body by muscular movement. It is a physical process by occurs. It occurs by diffusion. It is extracellular process. Respiration is a cellular process in which simple organic compounds like glucose are oxidized in order to liberate and chemical energy in the form of ATP. It is a biochemical process. It is occurred by oxidation. It is the intracellular process. It is a gas oxygen in the water environment. More dense breathing or ventilation of the water is far more difficult than the ventilation of air because water is 8,000 times more dense than air. More viscous in terms of viscosity. Water is 50 times more viscous, which makes it more difficult for the exchange of gases as compared to the air. Robisco ribulose bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase is an enzyme which is the most abundant protein in chloroplast and probably most abundant protein in the world. Robisco acts as a carboxylase as well as oxygenase. When Robisco acts as a carboxylase, it adds CO2 or UPP, which is an acceptor molecule on the other hand. When the Robisco is oxygenase, adds oxygen to RUBP in animal respiratory surface in animal are the sites of the where gases exchange takes place. Respiratory surface in most animals show following features: large surface. The surface area should be extremely large and seen in the lung of the land vertebrates and in the gills. In case of the fishes, wet surface respiratory surface must be wet in order to carry out diffusion of the gases. Thin epithelium. The distance across the diffusion where to take place should be little. In most animals, the epithelium which separates air and blood is only 2 cell thick, so the distance for diffusion is very short. Ventilation maintains a stable diffusion gradient. There is a big difference concentration of the gases at the two points which bring about diffusion. Capillary network in respiratory sites should be plus extensive network of the capillary through which blood can pass or at an adequate speed. In this way, complete diffusion gradient maintained which help in rapid diffusion of oxygen. The particle main cycle transfers communication gets with exterior by paired aperture spiracle present on lateral side of the body. Number of spiracle in cockroach. There are 10 pairs of the spiracle in cockroach. 2 paired spiracle are in thorax, while the rest 8 pairs are in each of the 8 abdominal segment. Function of spiracle: air from the surrounding environment enters into tracheal system through spiracle and exits after exchange of gas also through spiracles. Respiration of frog. Respiration in frog takes place through the lung, skin and buccal chambers. These organs are richly supplied with blood vessels. Cutaneous respiration gaseous exchange through the skin is called cutaneous respiration. Buccal respiration gaseous exchange through buccal chamber is called buccal respiration. Pulmonary respiration gaseous exchange through the lung is known as pulmonary respiration. Vocal cords in the glottic mucus membranous is stretched across into two thin adhesive fibrous bands called vocal cords. Function of vocal cords is vocal cords help in voice production when vibrated by air. Expiration, exhalation. During expiration, mucus of the ribs are relaxed and the ribs move downward and inward. At the same time, the muscle diaphragm also relax, becomes more dome-like. This action reduces space in chest cavity. When the lungs are pressed, the air inside moves out of the lungs, called as expiration, exhalation, inspiration, and inhalation. During inspiration, the muscles of ribs contract and elevate the ribs upward and forward. At the same time, the muscle of diaphragm also contracts. Diaphragm become less dome-like. These actions increase space in chest cavity or and reduce pressure, and so that the lungs expand. So that the lung expand. With the expansion of the lung, vacuum is created inside the lung. The air from outside rushes into the lung. Thus is the inspiration inhalation. Or biodiversity is the number and variety of the species, and plurality is the variety between all the species of plant, animal, and microorganisms and ecosystem. And the ecosystem within which they live interact. Insects 53.1%, vascular plants 17.6%, in animals other than insects in 19.9%, 9.4 fungi, archaea, protozoa, various other prokaryotes. Deductive reasoning from the general to specific example, if we accept that all the birds having and that sparrows are birds, then we conclude that sparrows having specific to general. It begins with specific observation and management is an effective control of a particular disaster. Disease can be achieved by using a relevant appropriate method of the required awareness of the community about remedies or gene therapy is performed to repair defective genes. In gene therapy, a normal gene is isolated from donor, inserted into the host cell through bone marrow cells. Bone marrow cell chemotherapy is a drug treatment. It is performed to treat cancer. Chemotherapy, anti-cancer chemical, and administered to the patient at regular intervals. Theory, when a series of hypotheses are supported by the result of many tests, then it is called theory. Law, when a theory survives after testing further by many scientists and continues to be supported by experimental evidence, then it becomes a scientific law or heat capacity of water. Water has great ability of absorbing heat with minimum change and its own temperature. Thus, the specific heat capacity of the water and the number of the calories required to raise the temperature. Temperature of 1 gram of water 1 centigrade 15 to 16 centigrade 1.0 hydrogen bonds. Important the heat capacity of the energy of water. Water works at temperature stable for organism in the environment and protects the living material against certain thermal changes. Amino acids, acid and the general formula are maybe hydrogen atom and glycine CH3, alanine or any other group. Amino acid mainly differ due to the type of nature R group. Amino group are H2N, single bond C, single bond R, single bond I, single bond C, single bond C or single bond C, double OH, carboxyl group और वो अमीनो ग्रुप है यहाँ अल्फा कार्बन और उसके बाद conjugated molecule. Two different molecules belonging to different categories usually combine together to form conjugated molecule or glycoprotein. Endomycorrhizae in which fungal ivy penetrate the outer cells of the plant's roots, forming coils, swelling, and minutes. Branches also extend out into the surrounding soil is known as endomycorrhizae. Genus Geomus form endomycorrhiza. Ectomycorrhizae in which fungal ivy surround and extend between the cells but do not penetrate the cell wall of the roots, also extend out into the surrounding soil, known as ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhiza are mainly basic drug mycota, include amanita spp, bladders spp और उसके बाद हमारे पास है spores are produced inside the reproductive structure called sporangia, which are cut off from the ivy by complete septa. Spores may be produced by sexual or asexual processes are applied non-motile and are produced in very large. They disperse by wind to great distance and cause wide distribution of many kinds of the fungi. Conidia are cut off at the end of the modified ivy called cognitive fold and not inside the superenzyme, usually in chain or clusters, or they are non-motile structures. Fold may be produced in large number. They can survive for week and cause rapid colonization of the new food. Budding is an asymmetric deviation in which tiny outgrowth or bud is produced, which may separate or growth in by a simple deviant cellular yeast reproduced by budding. Parasexuality is a special kind of genetic recombination in perfect fungi, which portion of the chromosome of two nuclei lying in the same hypha are exchanged as are called so because of numerous rusty orange yellow colored disease spot on their host surface, mostly stem leaves, later revealing brick red spores of the fungus. Leucemia species are most common rust fungi or schmites are called so because of their black dusty spores masses or that resemble soot or smut. These spore masses or replace the grain kernels such as those of wheat, corn, etc. Astilago species are most common smut fungi. Fungus is a heterotrophic multicellular organism having adaptive mode of nutrition. Penicillium alternation generation of multicellular plant gamete of diploid with each other in an alternation of the generation. Seeking the alternation of genes during formation of spores from spore mother cells by mitotic division in the sporophyte generation. Reshuffling of the genes occur as consequence. Great variety of spores with with different genetic makeup are produced. These spores in turn produce gametophyte with spores with different genetic combination, or in this natural process the superphyte thus provide a large amount of the genetic variability. The nature selects the best combination in the long run. This will allow the population to become increasingly better adapted to the environment. Or microphyll are small single-veined leaves. Microphyll are present in lycophytes, or megaphyll are large leaves having divided veinlets with an expanded leaf blade, or lamina. Megaphyll are present in ferns and seed plants, or gymnosperms. The term gymnosperm literally means naked seeded. Gymnosperm are heterosporous plants which produce seeds but no fruits. Ovules in these plants are usually born on the exposed surface of megasporophytes. Gymnosperms have independent dominant sporophyte but less conspicuous dependent gametophyte. Cycas spinous zingotes of gymnosperms. Lipids store double amount of the energy than carbohydrate. Lipids are used to store energy because of this higher proportion of carbon and hydrogen bond and a very low proportion of the oxygen. So lipids store double amount of the energy as compared to the same amount of the carbohydrate. Inhibitor affects the enzyme function. Inhibitor is a chemical substance which can react with the enzyme. We can react with the enzyme but is not transformed into the product and thus block the active site temporarily, permanently. Poison, antibiotic, antiparasites, and drugs or binding site. Binding site has enzyme in the recognized binding of proper substrate to produce an enzyme substrate complex. Catalytic site activated. Catalytic site catalyzes the transformation of the substrate into products. Enzymes are affected by extreme changes in pH. A slight change in pH can change the ionization of the amino acid at the active site and may be affect the ionization of substance. As a result, enzyme activity in either is either retarded or blocked completely. Extreme changes in pH causes the bonds in the enzyme break, resulting in the enzyme denaturation. Six, plant disease caused by the fungi, powdery mildew, ergot, red rot of the sugar cane, potato wilt, or have nuclear mitosis. Fungi show a characteristic type of the mitosis called nuclear mitosis, in which nuclear envelope does not break. Instead, the mitosis spindle form within the nucleus, and the nuclear membrane constricts between two clustered daughter chromosomes. Most mammals have a body. Most mammals have body covering of hairs. Mammals are warm-blooded animals. Mammals feed their young one on milk produced by mammary gland of the mother. Most mammals give birth to young viviparous. Viviparous major harmful insects. Main type of the mosquitoes, flies, fleas, lice, bugs transmit disease causing organism to man. Domestic animal, common house fly carries disease causing organism to contaminate food and cause cholera, hepatitis. It is a number of the insects lay eggs on the fruits and other commercial crops such as sugar cane, maize, cotton. Polyps are cylindrical animals which in most cases are nutritive in function. Hence named gastrozoid. Polyps reproduce asexually, give rise to medusae. Medusae are umbrella-like and are free swimming. Medusae reproduce sexually as they have gonads, give rise to polyps. Men lipids store double amount of the energy than carbohydrates. Lipids are used to store energy because these have higher proportion of carbon, hydrogen bond, and are very low proportion of the oxygen. So lipids store double amount of the energy as compared to the same amount of the any carbohydrate and limited as the terminal substances can react with enzyme. But in that transform into product and thus block active site to temporarily or permanently poison and metabolize and drug. Binding site has the enzyme in the recovery and binding of proper substrate to produce an enzyme substrate complex. Catalytic activity. Catalytic site catalyzes transformation of the substrate into the products. Effect of pH and enzyme action. A slight change in pH can change in the ionization of amino acid at the active site of the and may be affect the ionization of the substrate. As a result, enzyme activity is either retired or blocked completely. Extreme changes in pH causing the bond in the enzyme to break, resulting in the enzyme denaturation. Powdery mildew, ergot, red rot of sugar cane, potato wilt, cotton root rot, apple scab, nuclear mitosis. Fungi show a characteristic type of the mitosis called nuclear mitosis, in which nuclear envelope does not break. Instead, mitotic spindle form within the nucleus, and the nuclear envelope nuclear membrane consists between two clusters of daughter chromosomes. Most mammals most mammals have body covering of hairs. Mammals are warm-blooded animals. Mammals feed their young one on milk produced by mammary gland or method. Most mammals give birth to produce young viviparous harmful insects. Many types of the mosquitoes, flies, fleas, lice, bugs transmit disease causing organism to man. Domestic animals, the common house fly carries disease causing organism to contaminate food and cause cholera, hepatitis. It is a number of insects lay eggs on fruit and other commercial crops such as sugar cane, maize, cotton, or polyps are cylindrical animal which is most cases are nutritive in function, hence name gastrozoid. Polyps reproduce asexually, give rise to medusae. Medusae are umbrella like and are free swimming. Medusae reproduce actually as they gonads give rise to polyps. microalgae in which fungal hyphae penetrate outer cells of the plant root, forming coils, swelling, and eminent branches and as extend out into the surrounding soil is known as endomycorrhizae. The genus Dermis form endomycorrhiza, ectomycorrhizae, mycorrhizae in which fungal hyphae surround extend between the cells do not penetrate the cell wall of the root and as extend into surrounding soil known as ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhizae are mainly basic diamycota include amanita spp, Bullatus spp. Spores are produced inside the reproductive structure called the sporangia, which are cut off from the hyphae by complete septa. Spores may be produced by asexual processes are applied non-motile and are produced in very large number. They disperse by wind to great distance and cause wide distribution of many kind of the fungi. Conidia are cut off at the end of the modified spores are produced inside the reproductive spores are produced and inside the reproductive structures and cause sporangia, which are cut off from the ivy by complete septal. Spores are may be produced in very large number and large number and they disperse the wind and disperse the wind and they disperse by wind to great distance and cause wide distribution of many kind of the fungi. Many kind of the fungi or conida are cut off at the end of the modified ivy called conida for and not inside the sporangia, usually in chain or cluster. These are non-motile asexual asexual spores produced in large numbers. They can survive for weeks or can cause rapid colonization of the new food. Budding is an asymmetric division in which tiny outgrowths of bud is produced. May separate or grow by simple cell division. Non-cellular yeast reproduced by budding. Parasexuality. Parasexuality is a kind of the genetic recombination of in imperfect fungi, which portion of the chromosomes of the two nuclei lying in the same hypha are exchanged. Rust are so because of numerous rusty colored disease spots on their host surface. Mostly leaves later revealing brick red spores of the fungus Puccinia species are most common. Rust fungi smut are called so because of their black dusty spores masses that resemble soot or smut. These spores masses reflect green kernels such as those of wheat, corn, etc. Astilago species are most common. Smut fungus is heterotrophic eukaryotic multicellular organism having absorptive mode of the nutrition penicillium. Alternation of the alternation of friends multicellular plant gametophyte. Diploids provide each other is known as alternation of the generation. Alternation of during the formation of the spores from the support generation cells by mitotic division in the sporophyte. Reshuffling of gene occurs as a consequence of great variety of spores with different genetic makeup are produced. These spores in turn produce gametophys, different genetic combinations in this natural process. The sporophytes provide a large number of these genetic variation in long run. This will allow the population to become increasingly better adapted to their environment. Microphylls are small single vein leaves or microphylls are present in lycopodids. Megaphylls are large leaves having divided veins or veinlets with an expanded leaf blade or lamina. Megaphyll are present in friends seed plant. Gymnosperm and gymnosperm regularly mean naked series. The gymnosperm are heterosporous plants with which produce seeds but no fruit. The ovules in these plants are usually borne on the exposed surface of the megasporophyll. Gymnosperms have independent dominant superophyte but less conspicuous dependent gametophyte. Cycas spinous zingo are some examples of gymnosperm. Double fertilization process in angiosperm in which one sperm from a pollen grain fused with the small active cell of the gametophyte, while the second sperm penetrates the joining large endosperm cell containing the two polar nuclei, resulting into triploid 3N endosperm cells. Gymnosperms, they are naked seeded plant. Their seed is not